Good morning and welcome to the Sports Carnival live from the Trauma Center studios, where the thing I'm most thankful for is the same thing I'm thankful for every year. That's elastic waistbands, otherwise known as sweatpants. Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
The downfall of society, sweatpants. We all know this to be true. I'm kidding. I love sweatpants. Chad, I love you too. Happy Thanksgiving in advance, my friend. How the fuck are you?
You know what? I'm doing all right. Got some frozen rain to deal with this morning.
That's not fun.
Everything is covered in ice. So that means I got to start my car now. But other than that, everything is great.
Good stuff. It was 26 degrees, or maybe I don't know what it was. It was frozen outside when I walked the dog this morning, but it's going to be beautiful today here in the Cooley region, like 48, 49 degrees. And we're looking at some really good temperatures coming up. But I don't know, for whatever reason, and I see Joey Miller's up and at it this morning talking about Patrick Beverley.
It's reading your mind.
Okay, so I woke up this morning feeling fucking chippy. I don't know what it was. Maybe waking up and seeing that I'd completely nailed that Lakers and Suns under, which we'll get into this morning. But watching Patrick Beverley, and I've got a different take on this than you, Joey, check DeAndre Ayton in the back like he did, I was ecstatic. And now it's just made me think about this, Chad.
Old school NBA.
Fucking A, old school NBA, and not just that. I want to fast track something here on this show, and perhaps we should have done this around Christmas time, but who cares? We're here now. I want some airing of the grievances here this morning, all right? We've got nobody coming on the program. This is a flying solo operation between the two of us. Got a lot to run down. Big NFL slate for tomorrow, but I want to air some grievances, and I'm going to take exception with you here, Joey, because I liked what Patrick Beverley did. Patrick Beverley's about 6'2.5". If people don't know, last night Patrick Beverley just checked DeAndre Ayton in the back like he was a punk on the park. And I hear what you're saying, Joey. You want a shot at him. Joey, I know you personally. You don't want anything to do with Patrick Beverley, okay? No. And I was talking to some Aquinas football coaches, and we all talked about what a great kid you were. Joey is about 6'7", Chad. The biggest, most gentle giant I've ever met in my life. If I would have been Joey's size, and we know why the man upstairs didn't allow this to happen, I would have been a fucking monster, like an absolute terrorist on a scale I don't even know if it would have been imaginable. So thank the good Lord that Joey didn't get any of me. But Joey, you want zero part of Patrick Beverley. I mean, I know this for sure. I thought it was fantastic. And look, DeAndre Ayton, did he deserve to get pushed in the back? I don't know. Why was he standing over Austin Reeves, a guy that's a foot tall, shorter than him, right? Like, what is he trying to do? What's that play about? So is Patrick Beverley supposed to come around him and say, hold on a second, big guy? Well, no, you punk that dude in the back and you do what he did. It was awesome. It was just awesome.
Neil Duda says Devin Booker made a great point in the post game, saying that Beverley needs to start pushing people in the chest, not in the back. Yeah, whatever. Maybe either way. Dave and I are kind of similar when it comes to the NBA. Part of the, and that's just because of how we grew up. I mean, to me, everything has been so pussified, and I'm not saying we bring it back to that level. I think it got a little out of hand in the 90s. I think it was probably a little bit more controlled in the 80s, and then the late 70s it was really bad as well. But I like it a little bit chippy too, man. I like the fact that you got guys that are defending not only their teammates, but their home court. They're not making out at the, half court line. They're not dapping up all the time. It's like they look at each other like, you know what? I'm here to kick your ass.
Yes.
I don't like you. That's the kind of way I used to play. That's like, I mean, not that I ever made it to that level. It's mostly playground ball, but that's kind of the attitude I brought to it. And I enjoy seeing the same thing.
Listen, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I've been telling people this, and I've told you this story before. C. Green, Las Vegas native, Rebel, great, played in the NBA, told me when I was 12 years old, and I went to his basketball camp, that I was a dirty player. Sidney Green told me when I was 12 years old, I was a dirty player because I would have done exactly what Patrick Beverley did. You know what? You're bigger than me by a lot. And what's my advantage coming around to square you up? What am I, stupid? No, I'm going to take a shot on you where I can, and then we'll see what happens, right? We'll see where the chips fall. This whole idea of like, well, you see what you got to do is you get your dueling gloves on, you get your sword, and you go out there, you give them a written invitation. They meet you in a field. Fuck that. Dude, DeAndre Ayton's 7'2", and he's standing over Austin Reeves. He got exactly what he deserved. And as far as the Suns go with Devin Booker, he also wants zero part of Patrick Beverley. We can tell you this. Devin Booker's a good scoring guard, wants nothing to do with Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley is a guy that actually would have played in the 1980s and averaged
really well
3 points that he averages now, because he's not all that good, But what he's good at is that. He reminds me of a defensive goon in hockey. Somebody that you bring out when, the puck drops at, and you know that these two guys are going to fight. And you're like, why is this guy starting tonight?
Well, this is the guy I always bring up. And I'm not saying he reminds me of him, but similar because he's an agitator. And that's Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge was an agitator.
Yes.
He'd get under your skin. Bill Lambier, agitator. Vernon Maxwell, agitator. These guys are just those kind of guys that you play that piss you off because they're just constantly they're at your heels and they're just constantly in your face. And as a play, especially an offensive player, that can be very exacerbating and it gets under your skin and they know it and they play it perfectly.
They play it perfectly because this, like all things in life, is a perfect example of know thyself. And that's one of the most important things that you can do in this world. And for UWL's Thomas and for Joey Miller, our young listeners out there, know thyself. Joey, you don't want any part of Patrick Beverley, and I know that. So know thyself. Never, ever attempt that.
By the way, we just have to mention this. At least I have to mention this.
Sure.
So the Lakers ended up losing that game.
They did.
115-105, but street close. Anthony Davis had a historic night. 37 points, 21 rebounds, 5 steals, 5 blocks, and 2 assists. He did have 6 turnovers. We don't have to mention that, but I did anyway. But great night in a loss, and he actually was suited up. So that was pretty good.
Davis has been playing outrageous basketball recently. Like, if you look at the last 4 games, the Lakers have been on a 3-game winning streak. If you look at their last 4 games now, I think AD's gone 30-15 in all 4 of those games. Yeah. You're right. The numbers that he put up last night are historic, which means we've got something that needs to happen right now if you're a Laker fan. So let's do this, Chad. We'll sprinkle some bonus degrees on the area. Thomas, it's going to be a beautiful weekend here. We've got warm weather coming for Thanksgiving. I just got a new jar, 28.5 grams, as a matter of fact, of bonus degrees. I will sprinkle these on the area for you. You can roll them up in a nice, tight little wad, and you can take those bonus degrees and smoke them. We'll be back in about a minute and a half. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just a regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Hey, it's time for koozies, hot tubs, and jacuzzis. With a big announcement for the next 2 months. When you buy a hot tub or jacuzzi, you get a pair of tickets for the Big Coozes Booze Cruise. Headed to Cabo. So sop that mop and then come pop a top with me, the Coos.
Sop that mop is a slang term for wet bush.
Broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. This is the Sports Carnival. Now for the guy who isn't afraid to do a little mansplaining if need be. Here's your host, Dave Carney.
Oh, Chad, know thyself. I'm a mansplainer. That is for sure. Chad, I tell you what, we've got a little mansplaining to do to folks like Joey Miller and also Thomas. Now, Thomas is a good boy, and I mean this sincerely. He's a good boy. He comes from a good, solid family, and he's once asked me to refrain from using such harsh language. Once he turned 18, Chad, I told him, fuck that shit. Let me tell you something else. What Chad put in there, which you might not have picked up on, sop that mop is slang term for wet bush. Now, you go ahead and throw that around the campus of UWL and see how fast you get yourself noticed. Thomas is also hot on the case, Chad, of the dastardly duo. That's right. It was not 1, but 2 squirrels. We have now found out that engaged in squirrel conspiracy.
There's a second squirrel?
Second squirrel. This squirrel apparently was on the grassy knoll.
Oh, man.
As counter to what a lot of the early reports suggested, it was not just the squirrel from the book depository that was coming down. You know, November just gets me thinking about JFK. I mean, what can I say?
The magic nut.
The magic nut, which is ironically what I thought happened when I found out that I was going to have a son. It was like, wow, that happened? Like, I didn't know that was going to be a thing. All right, I guess it's not true. The rumors aren't true, Chad. You can't consume enough bonus degrees to actually sterilize yourself. At least you couldn't at 22 or 23. I don't know about now, But that's something that I just want to pour some cold water on. Rumors have circulated for years that bonus degrees would actually reduce your reproductive nature. And it's just not something I found to be true.
Always leery of a guy like you knowing things about the metric system. That's all.
Exactly. I would be. Want to say hi to some friends here this morning, Chad, because like I said, we're flying loose and free today. We have got ourselves a big weekend coming up. A lot of NFL football and Turkey Testicle Festival in Huntley, Illinois. Marengo Mike is checking in. Huntley and Marengo, not too far from each other, and this just outside of Chicago. Chad, happy Turkey Testicle Day to you too, Mike. I want to get up there to this festival. It's supposed to be just like
Please
a wild
explain. I don't know what it means.
Let me mansplain this for you. Turkey Testicle Festival is essentially like everything out here. Reason to get shit-faced, drink a lot of beer, have some bands, play some country music you've probably heard 4, 5, 6, 700 times before, pretend it's good, and basically just get really drunk. I mean, that's really what a lot of these things are, is just to get really, really drunk. So I think that's what the Turkey Testicle Festival is. Plus, it plays into Thanksgiving, right? You can run around and, look at the turkeys. It's something I think that has to do with the seasonality.
Yeah, but is it like turkey gizzards or like what? I mean, is there actually
testicles?
Oh,
yeah, they run around
testicles.
I believe so, which are apparently a delicacy. Speaking of Thanksgiving, Chad, the Sports Carnival's poll this morning at the Sports Carney on Twitter on our Facebook group page.
Hear that poll.
Climb that poll. My poll is, okay, hold on a second. At the Sports Carney. What is your favorite part of Thanksgiving, Chad? Is it Thanksgiving dinner, family football, or all of the above? Where do you land on that one?
Man, that's tough. I'm gonna have to go with all of the above because obviously I love spending time with my family, but man, Chad loves eating, as you can tell.
Yes.
I always say Chad loves food, and unfortunately, food loves Chad. So, you know what? I've looked so forward to it. Unfortunately, I got some bad news. And I don't know if we're going to necessarily have our Thanksgiving tomorrow because my parents and my nephews both are sick.
No way.
They may have got food poisoning from, believe it or not, this isn't a euphemism, bad tuna. So
no kidding.
Yeah. So we'll see. We might have to postpone it. But,
I'm sorry to hear that. That's that's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
As they would say, it's the real shits, literally and figuratively speaking.
Dude, I've had food poisoning only one time in my life. I ate at this Chinese restaurant in Oxnard, California, and I'm not indicting Chinese food because this, like you said, happened with tuna. It can happen anywhere. I'm just going to make a point. I got some lo mein, some chicken lo mein, or what I anticipated to be chicken lo mein. And I opened up the little box, and dude, the chicken was this long. I mean, like the piece of chicken was really long. And I
wasn't chicken.
I was like, this doesn't, it looks like chicken because it's white, right? And the sort of the texture of it looks like chicken, but I'm like, this doesn't really feel like chicken. And long and short of it, it turned out not to be because whatever happened was the worst 24 hours of my entire life spent in one room. I got to be in one place. I basically hid in my tub for about 24 hours. It was terrible. So I hope your parents feel better. P12 Foreman says he's pretty sure the magic nut explains why his kids are so good looking and tall. Jesus. Foreman's like our size, Chad. I mean, he's a normal man in America, about an average size guy. His son Trenton's 6'4" and dunks on D1 athletes in park games and like stares him down. It's like, D1, huh? He's a perfect example of a Patrick Beverly. Can dunk on somebody and be like, D1, huh? All right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you always got to check the woodpile. You never know who's hiding in there.
Indeed. Fuel supply can be.
So Joe says, I'm likely one of two on here that have been to the Huntley Testicle Festival, and basically it's a million bush lights, cheesy tunes, and yes, deep fried turkey testicles. Okay, so just another
what we thought. Yes,
another day that ends in Y in that area. Gotcha. Besides the testicles.
Well, listen, this neighborhood bar I was at last night meeting with a friend had a sign up that I wanted to actually take away. They told me no and send to you because Jason P1 Breacher, who's checking in this morning saying, top of the morning to our fine peoples. Breacher told you once on, I wouldn't say the text line, but the interactive line here, Chad, that we've been out drinking, the state of Wisconsin, out drinking other states since 1848. And it was a perfect little wood sign that was hanging up in this bar. And I just thought, shit, can I give this to my buddy Chad? And of course, They said no, but
Oh.
it doesn't mean that there aren't others that are out there that we can't find. Actually, I'm jotting this down right now. This is a Christmas present that I'm going to be buying. Out drinking your state since 1848. By the way, Jason P1 Breacher, he's invited me, my mom, my son over to Thanksgiving, and we're going tomorrow to his farm in Galesville. He's got mini horses, Chad. He's got mini horses. You know how affectionate I am towards mini horses.
Little Sebastian?
Yes.
Have you seen Little Sebastian? You know that reference?
Of course I do, from Parks and Recreation. Stop
okay,
it.
so is that kind of
yes.
Is that what we're talking about? That kind of horse?
There he has one of those horses. He's got a number. He's actually got quite a few horses now. I mean, it used to be oh, man, I had a different joke here, but Jason's wife might be listening. All right, so he's got a couple of regular sized horses and a mini horse. And I gush over mini horses. I don't know exactly why it is. I think because John, when he was little, we took him to this place that used to be in Las Vegas called Bonnie Springs. It's no longer there. They've used it for real estate development, but it was like an old fashioned cowboy town type thing. They did the fake shootouts.
Yep.
All right. So John was maybe 3 years old. My kid's about to be 18 in case you're just joining the show. He was about 3 years old and he rode this little mini horse called Peanut, and he had a little helmet on, and they just rode around in this little circle, right? With the, I don't know, not a leash on, but whatever. He was in a rope and they just kind of go around in a circle, and it was the cutest thing ever. And at that point in time, I think that it stuck with me so indelibly. I was like, dude, I love mini horses. Just a great feeling.
There's nothing wrong with loving mini horses. I saw something earlier from our buddy Neil Duda asking if we're off the next 2 days. No, we're off tomorrow. Yeah. And then Friday we're back at it, correct?
Yeah, we're back at it Friday. I was gonna put something together tonight just in case. I was gonna put together a best of, because Thursday could turn out to be kind of a party. And, being up where I'm going to be in Galesville and the Trempealeau area, it's not close. So I think we're just going to have a backup plan of a best of ready to go. And if we have to, we'll push play on that. So we'll see. Something will be on. How about that? Friday morning, something will be on for sure.
We'll be on. Come on. We're going to be on.
Yeah. You don't mind if I just bring my laptop, do you? And do it from, like, say, the back of Jason Breacher's barn?
I don't care.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're good with that, then I'm good with that. And by the way, P12 Foreman, he's wanting to re-adjudicate his magic nut abilities. 6'6" is the height of Trenton. Again, people meet this guy, they see his son, they're like, how the fuck did this happen? And by the way, he's dynamically better looking than Foreman too. I mean, just by a lot.
It happens. It happens. You never know.
All right, speaking of things that happen, let's bring up my betting slide from last night, because I want to talk about this Lakers and this Suns game for a bit. The Bucks play tonight, guys and gals, against the Bulls at 7 o'clock, and we'll preview the weekend ahead as we progress on this morning. But I want to talk about this Lakers game last night because, Chad, my daily play this week started off with the loss. I put together a two-team teaser on Monday night. I took those Cardinals plus 10.5 points, and I also took the University of Nebraska Omaha plus 31.5 points. Both of those teams got routed. So I started off the weekend 0-1. Well, last night, in dissecting the very few games that there were to really play, at least the ones that I had any sort of beat on, I focused in on the Lakers and Suns. Now, we know that this season so far, I've been fading the Lakers, and for good reason. They have not been covering the spread. However, recently, that 3-game winning streak and the way that AD had been playing led me to believe this was going to be a closer game and a lower scoring game than it might have indicated. The total came out at 226.5. And I went to a head-to-head matchup analysis, and this is something that John Denton and a lot of sports bettors do when you sort of, look at how these teams play each other. And while both of these teams had been scoring over 116 apiece in their last 3 contests, it really felt like what we saw last night was going to kind of happen. These two teams that play each other 4 times a year, we're going to get a little heated, a little chippy, and that's exactly what did happen. But the historical trends, Chad, showed that the under was 7-2-1 in the last 10 games that these two teams had played, which, again, they play 4 times a year. So this is a recent sample size, not from years ago. The under was also 4-1-1 in the last 6 games in Phoenix, meaning when the Lakers go to Phoenix and play there, the under's been hitting at a really good clip. There were a lot of indicators that pointed to taking the over. The Lakers had been playing hot. The Suns had been playing hot, and both of these two teams had been scoring. But like I mentioned in yesterday's daily play, the indicators to me in the historical trend said we should take the under, and we did. So we're back on the winning track this week at 1-1. Last week we went 4-0, and looking ahead to this upcoming weekend, I'm going to make plays on the NFL games, and we'll talk about those games later. But This game last night with Lakers and the Suns, Chad, Anthony Davis, 37, 21, 5, what did you say, 6 turnovers, but he had 5 assists. He was playing
2 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks.
There you go. That's historically good basketball. The Lakers need to trade this dude right now. I mean, right now, because the season's already over. They're terrible. They started off 2-10. They won 3 games. They lose last night. So what are they? 5-11 right now. They're not going to make a play in the Western Conference. They're just not going to. They need to trade Anthony Davis now. Do you think that's a good idea? Because that's the way that I feel. The Lakers, as a Laker fan, still in, some way, shape, and form, not nearly as much as a Bucks fan now, but still having that thought in me as a Laker fan. I'm like, they got to get rid of him before he gets injured again. And while his value is still high.
I think it's one of those things that what's the identity of this team? Is it LeBron's team? Are they going to let LeBron, ride off into the sunset as a Laker? Is he going to continue to want to play? I mean, does he get the Kareem's record and then move on? Does he want to play somewhere else? I mean, to me, that's the elephant in the room is LeBron, right? I mean, he is the Lakers at this current time. Anthony Davis clearly you could get something for Anthony Davis, no doubt about it. But what are you going to bring in? Are you going to bring somebody in, a couple different guys to complement LeBron? Or are you going to bring, is it a 1-to-1? Is it Anthony Davis stardom for somebody else of equal stardom and maybe a couple other players in draft picks? How does that look in your mind?
So interesting question. So it's twofold, right? You've got the Lakers. What's their identity? They don't have one right now because the LeBron James thing is largely predicated around, him just being LeBron James. Like they traded away all the young assets to get Davis. So it's hard to see what their identity is. But I think LeBron signing the extension that he did this offseason means he's going to be in LA for the next few years. He's never signed one like that where he's like basically committed. So it feels like he's in LA the next couple of years. Cool. That means you have to put pieces around LeBron that do work. That just seems to me the thing that you have to do. Shooters and people that can also defend. You need shooters and people that can defend. All of the championships with LeBron James had that very same mix. And it really kind of makes you wonder why they didn't look at the bubble championship and say, yep, that's the way we do it. They let all of their good shooters go. Kyle Kuzma's playing incredible basketball. Now they really blew a good team up that didn't need to be blown up. So I think what you do is you say, if you're the Lakers, Anthony Davis isn't getting me a 1-for-1 because when he plays at the top of his game, he's a top 2, 3, 4 guy in the NBA. I want to get some draft picks back because the Lakers don't have anything until 2027 or 29. So I want to get some draft picks back, and then I want to get a couple of young players. Do you know who I would actually target right now? I would target a team like the Orlando Magic. I really would. Or I would target a team like the Chicago Bulls because you can look at the Magic and see they're not going anywhere this year, but Jalen Suggs is a really good player. Bol is a guy that's starting to emerge that looked like early out of high school he was going to be a star. Injuries in college for Oregon never really got going for the Nuggets. You've got a couple of different pieces on that Orlando team that if you pair Paolo Banchero together with Anthony Davis, now you've got something if you're the Magic. And if you're the Lakers,
combo.
You get back a guy like Jalen Suggs, who is a mature guard. By the way, Jalen Suggs won't get any highlights because he plays for the Magic. Had a huge game-winning shot the other night for Orlando, though. So I would look at a team like that or Chicago, where I could look at a guy like Zach LaVine. Maybe some of the other younger players that Chicago's got, an Ayo Dosunmu, possibly a Patrick Williams. You could bring a number of players over, and Anthony Davis is also from Chicago. You might even be able to, because of the salary cap, get a Nikola Vucevic back, Chad, from Chicago in exchange for Anthony Davis. So I think that there are a couple of good trades, but I would look for draft capital and other players that can make it easier for LeBron. Because the other thing is this, we talk about LeBron like he's a machine, and he is. When he plays, he's really good. He's been injured a lot over the last few years. Well, like since he came to LA, it happens because you're getting older.
You imagine, I mean, I know you and I have talked about this off the air before about Kobe Bryant and the amount of games that he played because of the fact that, the way that the basketball is now, and you've got, the Olympics, and you've got, the fact that he didn't go to college and all those other things. And just how many NBA games he's played. Same thing with LeBron. These guys have played a shit ton of games, and then the playoff history on top of that. So there's going to be wear and tear. It's going to, I don't care who you are, over time, it's going to wear you down.
Well, and that's why you'd look for some guys that are younger that could also drive the bus a bit. And I see that P12 Foreman says, try to get Suggs or an injured Chet Holmgren. look, Chet Holmgren's another interesting case because I saw him play it at the Minnehaha Academy when he was here around because he's from
Crane. Yeah.
Yes, Ichabod Crane. And listen, explosive talent on Ichabod, really, right? Like he's got good handles.
Yeah.
But he's about 125 pounds and he's 7'2". The injury that Chet Holmgren sustained in Summer League is one of the injuries like that Sean Bradley had. Like he could end up like not ever really playing because of that, right? Like that foot injury that he had is one of those, oh God, devastating injuries. Now, they've gotten a lot better with the rehab. And people used to tear their Achilles, Chad, and be done, right? Like that was you're finished thing. People come back from Achilles tears now a lot easier than they did before. But I wouldn't do anything with Chet Holmgren. I really wouldn't. He feels too fragile. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play as much as we'd love him to. That would be
What about Kyrie Irving? I heard Kyrie Irving possibly going to the Lakers. I watched a little bit of the game last night between the Nets and Philadelphia. Tobias Harris had a hell of a game because everybody was injured on Philadelphia. Embiid was out, Maxey was out, and of course James Harden was out. So Tobias Harris had to drive the bus, and he did a great job, I thought, and they ended up winning that. But what about Kyrie Irving being paired back up with LeBron?
You know, I don't think that's a terrible idea. The problem that I've got with Kyrie Irving, he doesn't pass and he doesn't defend. So how does that help anybody, right? Like he's got a really good jump shot, and that's cool, and he's really good. The thing about that Nets game, and I'm glad you brought that up and saying what's up to Brad from Green Bay. How you doing, buddy? Oh, you were at the recovery room last night? Well, fuck me. I didn't know that. Sorry, buddy. Great place to go, though. Brad from Green Bay is the best. Listen, the thing about, the Kyrie and that Nets team last night, watching them against Philadelphia is this. They don't play very hard, dude. Like that team doesn't play very hard. Like the Philadelphia 76ers, they were basically like a G League squad outside of Tobias Harris. You're right. And Tobias Harris had a really good game, but they only got the Brooklyn Nets 4 offensive rebounds last night. The Philadelphia 76ers had 25 offensive rebounds and scored 25 second chance points.
And and they weren't hard rebounds. I mean, it was just basically the Nets just weren't even trying. The amount of offensive putbacks were unbelievable, and they were putting them back in. It wasn't like they were just, getting an offensive rebound and then missing again. They were getting an offensive rebound and putting it back in the bucket. And the thing that nauseated me, and I don't mean anything against Ben Simmons. You know what? I wish him well, and I know he has mental issues and all that. Everybody, I don't care if it was Charles Barkley or Candace Parker or Stan Van Gundy, they all coddle him, and it's like they go, oh, well, Ben is doing much better now, and I don't know if you've noticed he's playing harder, and we're just so happy. And they all speak quietly and stuff. It's like, it's the pussification of America. It's like, dude, this guy gets paid millions of dollars to play basketball. Okay, get out there and play basketball and stop making excuses. Well, he had a pretty decent game. He had a pretty decent
quarters. For 3 quarters. This is the problem with Ben Simmons, which was, I love the Mr. Softy t-shirts that they had last night in Philadelphia. I don't know if you saw that, but it was great. It was like a nice.
And he was bricking for chicken too. Did you see that where he missed 2 free throws?
I did, and that was awesome. Second half, for those that never watch Philadelphia 76ers basketball, the second half, if you miss 2 consecutive free throws, which Giannis served up chicken nuggets to the Sixers crowd the other night, they get free Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. Now, the funny part was hearing Stan Van Gundy try to argue back and forth about how they get said chicken nuggets, their credentials not working, and him being quite upset about credentials not working, wondering if he could steal a ticket and being reminded that they are now digital and on the phone. Like that Chad is a guy that loves his food. But dude, the thing with Ben Simmons is this: while talented in some respects, he again, it's like Kyrie Irving sort of. You look at him and you're like, well, what really is he? In the fourth quarter, he didn't take a shot, had 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, didn't do anything. So when the game actually mattered, Ben Simmons isn't there, which is why. This is why when we talked about Aaron Rodgers, I'm making a hard left here, but when we talked about Aaron Rodgers the other day against a team like Tennessee and how he played really good for 3 quarters and, we're just so happy that he's playing good for 3 quarters. All right. But what about when it's time to win the game? Well, he just checked out. Well, that means you suck. I mean, it really does. You suck. If you can't win it, the winning's good. You suck. And I think it sucks that we have to, again, with Rodgers or Ben Simmons, praise these guys like they need to be encouraged by us. They have sports psychologists. Ben Simmons took fucking 2 years off from football. I mean, Aaron Rodgers dipped his toes in the ayahuasca waters. I mean, he's doing what he has to do. we got to sit here and pretend these dudes like are one thing or the other because of the fact that, we've been shamed into thinking that anybody that doesn't perform well and we criticize them for it's going to fucking commit suicide. It's not my fault. Just don't do it. You know what I mean? Your life matters. I see the billboards up all over the place.
Ooh, Ben Simmons just put the ball back in the bucket. Good job, Ben.
We're going to have to
softly.
I'm Jim Nansen. Welcome to Ben Simmons.
Hello, look at Morning Wood. Come on, guys. Philly says just trust the process. Yeah, just trust the process. Yeah.
The process was great because it started with signing Andrew Bynum, who injured himself forever playing bowling. That was the process. Joel Embiid missed the first 3 years. Ben Simmons plays in Philadelphia. Nerlens Noel's not in the league anymore. Yeah, trust the process, Philly. It's going great.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll be back. The official mortgage team of the Sports Carnival is the Midwest mortgage team of Land Home Financial, my good buddies Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi. Listen, we all know the mortgage industry is in a bit of an upheaval right now, and that's why it's more important than ever to go to a couple of guys that you can trust, a local operation right here in La Crosse. That is the Midwest mortgage team. Again, Michael Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi of Land Home Financial. Don't make a mistake with your mortgage needs. Go to the official mortgage provider of the Sports Carnival, the Midwest mortgage team, Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi. Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home, or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
Do you have a wedding, anniversary party, or bat mitzvah coming up in your life? Then you need Hey Duda DJ services featuring Neil Duda,
the Midwest M&M.
No doubt about it, I'm been hammered, and that's every day. Brand's so cloudy, dog.
dropping sick beats while you enjoy your treats. No party is too big or too small. Quinceañeras, graduations, ice cream socials,
Or cockhold parties.
whatever the celebration, Hey Duda is rocking the foundation.
Here we go again. Back with all our friends. Here comes the pain.
Neil Duda.
Back to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. Do you think as many people would enjoy stuffing it was called by his original name, Butthole Bread? Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
Wow. No.
I may have stole that from Family Guy. I can't remember, but I thought it was funny either way.
You know what? I don't think that would have been on the cornucopia of family tables. Not at all, as a matter of fact. No, Butthole Bread.
Yeah.
Not having it. Not having it.
Doesn't sound as good.
Not quite. Not quite. At least not while I'm sober. Now, you ask me that if I was like Brad from Green Bay at 11 o'clock at the recovery room and somebody's like, do you want butthole bread? Then you have to ask yourself, who's Butthole Bread?
Yeah, what am I, an asshole? Of course I do.
Indeed. And Joey Tropicana, not to be confused with this asshole, but he's giving us some Turkey Day throwdown here, says, hello, Chad and Dave. I'm always eating turkey on Thanksgiving. I like this. Some people go ham, some people go roast. I'm a turkey guy too. Hope you get to eat all the turkey and stuffing. Can you play some Bruce Hornsby? Unfortunately not, because uncoolly Bruce Hornsby hasn't given us license to his music. That's one thing.
Has the range. Bruce Hornsby or the range. Neither one of them have given us the license to do so.
No. We do have Bailey Kale, we have Neil Duda, and we've got a host of other songs. That's one thing we can still expand on. If we're amongst local artists, and maybe you're tuning in here for the very first time, or you just picked us up on Facebook, and you've got music that you want to send to us, like original music, let us have it. Because you hear the Hey Duda DJ services piece, that really showcases the talent of some of our audience members. I don't know if Neil Duda has ever sounded so good as he did in that Hey Duda DJ service promo. If Neil wants to get back into the game, Chad, by the way, has offered to produce a commercial. Just send a self-addressed stamped envelope with a check payable to Best in Show Media and Public Relations, and we'll send you back a commercial.
Yeah, we can add all kinds of different things to that. Phone numbers, websites,
Right.
1-800 numbers, whatever you got there. Jeremy Foreman saying, picture that team, Chad. Jalen Suggs as a senior and Chet Holmgren as a junior, and they had the two stud Miller brothers. Yeah. And then you got Timmy on that team as well.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? Unfortunately,
he's talking
Gonzaga.
about the high school team.
He's talking about the high school team?
They played together in high school.
Oh,
Chad
I'm talking
Holmgren,
about they both played on Gonzaga as well.
yeah, they also played for the Minnehaha Academy.
Oh.
That's where I saw both
apologize.
Jalen Suggs and Chad Holmgren. That's what he's talking about. So they had Suggs, they had Holmgren as a senior. Because remember, Suggs was a
I thought
freshman.
he was pointing that to me because Gonzaga's up here in the Northwest.
Indeed. However, Jalen was only a freshman. Remember, and then he.
I don't remember all of that. What am I, a nerd?
Maybe I'm a nerd. I'm a big nerd, as a matter of fact. Oh, and by the way, Duda says, thanks, guys, and let's get on this thing. That's the private text. He's like, thanks, guys, let's get on this thing.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. You let us know. Hey, Duda, DJ Services. Oh, by the way, this is kind of funny. We did have a friend of the show repost that Hey Duda clip on their Facebook page, and now we're starting to see the call in the Centerville, the Trempealeau, the Galesville area for the return of DJ Neil Duda. Apparently, Neil's wife Jessica also tends bar at one of the local haunts up there, the Jailhouse. And so they do a lot of music, they do a lot of DJ stuff. Maybe Neil needs to make his return up there. I think it could be coming. You might have prompted this guy to really get back into the game.
I hope he does. Honestly, I think he's talented. It's one of those things where it grows on you, though. Initially I was like, what the hell is this? I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be offensive. I know this sounds like a backhanded compliment. But it grows on you. I mean, and he's got some good beats, and his lyrics are interesting. And he obviously has a sense of humor, which I always enjoy. And it was really fun making that spot.
It sounded great.
I don't know if this avatar looks anything like him because I've never seen the guy, but I guessed, and that's what I came up with.
He's a slender man. I will say that.
Okay,
But it's okay. Really and truly, when you think about the avatar itself, it kind of looks like maybe Neil when he was a little younger, right? Because that possibly, maybe had a little bit more girth on him when he was younger. Not from the photo record, but I'm supposing that could have been a thing. P1 Preacher says we're all nerds. Thank you, buddy.
I don't mean to profile, but I'm just guessing. Wisconsin. I thought it was a Wisconsin frame, so that's what I was thinking.
You know what? That wouldn't be a bad guess, and I wouldn't say that you're really hit. You're for the most part, you're not missing the target. Let's just put it that way. Let me say hi real quick to Toma Dan. I know we've got P12 Foreman's. We don't have to put up Toma's message here, but Toma Dan first checked back in with us yesterday. Toma, hope you're still around, having a great day. And there you go. Oh,
I don't know who Randy is. I'm not. Okay. This has got to be a different context than I understand.
All right, we're going to go ahead and drop that one right now. Good thing you spelled the name wrong, because that Randy that's how you spell a man's name. That's how you spell a man's name, Randy.
Hey,
that's great.
No judgment here, people. No judgment.
And no judgment on my part either. I know exactly who P12 Foreman's talking about. And we are broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios, powered by the Recovery Room. In case you need legal help, P12 Foreman, we've got our good friend Sean O'Neill at the O'Neill Law Firm, because this is where P12 Foreman could get himself into some trouble. Sean O'Neill at the O'Neill Law Firm is the official attorney of the program. Kyle Cable, One Trust Real Estate. My real estate agent is really, I tell you what, he's really at the top of the real estate game out here, Chad. He's in all of the best marketing areas. He's in all of the best website areas. He's a dynamic agent. Yesterday, he had his photographer Bailey come over and take pictures of the house. This kid is also fantastic, like a multimedia master. And if you've got a property to sell, or you're looking to buy, Kyle Cable, One Trust Real Estate. Now, for your mortgage needs, we talked about him yesterday as the number one mortgage agent in the whole company. Todd Vercruzzi, the Coos at Land Home Financials Midwest Mortgage Team, of course, his partner Mike Garcia, the official mortgage agents of the show. Anthony Rouso and Brian Sandmeyer are guys over at Preferred Insurance. And Chad, take care of your insurance needs. And when the shit really gets deep and the snow needs plowing, then you call Joe at Helping Hands Landscaping. Thank you guys for making this show happen. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Foreman, I knew that. I thought that I thought they were saying that imagine them playing together. This is what
right. Oh, sure. Imagine them. Well, basically now we're going to have to.
Honestly, that's what Gonzaga's problem has been, is once they get deeper into the tournament, they're not athletic enough. And Jalen Suggs was the one guy that was extremely athletic on that team that actually helped them.
Yes.
I was just saying that would have been a good combo.
It would have been great. I mean, and I thought that they had a really nice run last year with Chad Holmgren. Obviously didn't get quite as far as they did with Jalen Suggs. But Drew Timme and company, as good as they are in WAC. What is that conference that they still play in? It's
West
not the
Coast
WAC.
Conference.
It's the West Coast Conference. As good as they are in that conference, which are a couple of decent teams, when they start to play the heavies, you can sort of see where I wouldn't say talent discrepancy comes in, because it's not about talent, but it's about the athleticism, right? Like guys like Drew Timme are just not quite as athletic. Now, I will say Corey Kispert, however, is having a really nice career in the NBA so far. That guy's a lot more athletic than I thought he was going to be. He's got some real bounce. I mean, for a jump shooter and a guy like that, he's got some real bounce. Gonzaga's turned a program that, Chad, was a regional powerhouse and known only because of John Stockton in any measurable way into like a towering inferno that, for what it's worth, gets ranked in the top 5 basically in every preseason poll every year now. I mean, that's got to be.
Well, they had a pretty big win against Kentucky the other day. Yeah. And Mark Few, their coach, is a great coach. He's solid. And that's, I think, the consistency of Mark Few being there and the program that he runs is very helpful in that manner. And for what they are, they do obviously draw some great talent there. But I do think as it goes in the tournament, as we've seen, the deeper they get, the harder it is, and more athletic teams that they meet, they have a tougher time. And I don't know if Timmy's he's definitely not a starter in the NBA. I think he'll get some looks in the NBA. I just don't know if he would make it in the NBA. He may be more of a European guy, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either. It's going to be hard to say. I didn't really think that Luka Garza, who played an incredible role for Iowa, the Hawkeyes, I didn't really think that he was going to have much of an NBA future. And it seems like Luka Garza is going to stick with the Pistons. He's got a good jump shot. And I think that because Drew Timme can also pop a little bit from outside, the way that the NBA is played now, I think he probably does. And we sort of discount smart basketball players that are 6'7", because I know he's not uber athletic, but Luka Doncic is a good example of this.
Yeah.
The guy's dunked like once or twice in an NBA game, but he is one of the best players to ever lace up a pair of sneakers, and he's 23. So I think that Drew Timme gets a couple looks. Now, whether he sticks or not, that's going to be a question, right? That's going to be a real question. Chad, if we can bring up that slide that we've got about the weekend that's coming up, and I shouldn't say weekend because it's really just the Thanksgiving slate, but we'll be off tomorrow. We'll be back with something coming up for you on Friday. We'll be live. But we've got Thanksgiving football action. We've got the Bucks coming up tonight. And, of course, we've got our big Bucks ticket giveaway that 1 week from tonight, we are going to be giving double entries and drawing the winner. We'll announce the winner on the show on Thursday. But 1 week from tonight at the Recovery Room, and you just have to order an Absolute or Jameson shot or a cocktail to get yourself into the running. 1 week from tonight, we're going to give you double entries, and we'll find out who won a pair of tickets to go see the Milwaukee Bucks against the Sacramento Kings in Milwaukee on the 7th of December. This is one of those early Christmas presents. If you win this, and I know there are a ton of people gunning for these tickets, if you win this, you can almost say to whomever you take, Christmas is over. And that way, you've saved yourself so much money, Chad, because think of the inherent value of going to the Fiserv and just the experience. Boom, Christmas is solved for one lucky listener, one lucky audience member, or one lucky bar patron who just happens to be ordering Absolute or Jameson shots or cocktails.
Or you can be selfish and go yourself. That'd be the other thing, instead of giving them away.
Two tickets.
Well, that's true.
Give them away. I'm saying go with somebody, and then you're
I got you. Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying.
Christmas is now taken care of because we're going to the game. We're going together, and this is my treat to you. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to win, and neither can anybody that works at the Recovery Room. But hopefully, you get down there like Brad from Green Bay and pour in a couple of Absolute or Jameson shots or cocktails and get yourself into the running. Coming up tonight, the Bucks, and you can watch the game over at the Recov too. They'll be playing against the Bulls. The Bulls, Chad, who are 7-10, started off the season looking a little shaky. They've had big wins against Boston. The Bucks are, of course, coming off a nice win against a Blazers team that didn't have Damian Lillard. But the Bucks are 3-0 against division opponents so far this year. Milwaukee scoring about 111 and outscoring their division opponents anyways by 4.5 points per game. I like Milwaukee in this one, but there is one of those things that happens right before a holiday. And we've seen this in the NBA probably more than other sports. You can get to that point where you're like, cool, if especially you're the Bucks, are a really good team where you're looking forward to the day off and you're looking forward to being with your family, and the Bucks are at home, so that means that all the guys are going to be at home, and you can see Milwaukee. I wouldn't say I'm hoping for it or predicting it, but you could see Milwaukee maybe taking a night off in some way, shape, or form, and the Bulls being able to come out on top of this one.
I don't think Giannis lets that happen.
He might not, but what if I haven't checked his status for tonight's game. Like, I don't know that they have really put any predictive, or I don't know if they put out any injury report, if he's questionable or not. It feels like one of those games that I look at and I say, the Bucs on a bet? No, I don't think so. But there is football coming up tomorrow too, and we'll talk about that when we come back because there's 3 big games. I've got a take on all 3 of these and how you should play them. So stay tuned. The Sports Carnival broadcasting live from the Trauma Center Studios. Back in about 60 seconds. Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices.
Coming to Fox this fall, it's the Bench Brothers.
Talking about that street clothes and Westbrook.
They're getting down on the bench.
The Bench Brothers, brought to you by
Big Dick's Hoagie Heaven. Remember, ladies, the first 6 inches is free. And by Don Francisco's. At Don Francisco's, if you're up all night, so are we.
Street clothes and Westbrook.
They're getting down on the bench.
And back to the action live from the Trauma Center Studios. This is the one and only Sports Carnival. Did you know the Detroit Lions have played almost every Thanksgiving Day since 1934 and have a record of 37-43-2? In fact, they've lost their last 5 in a row, proving just because you're a loser doesn't mean you can't be thankful. Now, here's your host, Dave Carney.
Hey, baby, even the losers get lucky sometimes, as Tom Petty once said. And hey, the Lions are 4-6, and Chad, they're going up against a team this upcoming Thanksgiving that I think they've actually got a shot to beat. I know it sounds crazy, but the Lions against the Bills in Detroit, where the Bills have now played, this will be their second consecutive game. The Lions are 9.5-point dogs. Now, I don't think that the Lions will necessarily win, but I think the Lions could win. The way that the Bills have been playing recently, and I know they've shown some deficiencies. They have a hard time stopping the run. They can't run the football at all themselves. And if Josh Allen goes, he looks like in some cases he's reverted a little bit, right, back to his rookie year or maybe even his sophomore year where he was a bit reckless. He's had some really good games this year, but he's also had some real clunkers. And this Detroit team, I know it sounds crazy, but they're better than the Packers record-wise right now. It feels like Jamal Williams is the perfect, short down back, especially when you get it near the goal line. They've got some talent on the wide receiver side of the ball, and their defense isn't awesome, but they do have Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, they've got some guys. It feels like perhaps the Lions might be doing something here.
Yeah, Buffalo is a 9.5-point favorite. The total is 54.5. Yeah, I'm tempted to take the points on that. I agree with you. I think that there is a little weakness. I can smell a little weakness there. It was funny because it's like when the first couple of games of the season, it's been Buffalo. This is the team to beat. These are the guys. And it's funny how things have shifted a little bit. And they're not the only ones that are a little vulnerable, but that is a team that definitely, I think, again, as you mentioned, with Josh Allen, he has a tendency to push it a little too much and get a little antsy, and he forces throws, and that's when he throws picks. And unfortunately for him, a couple of them have been in the red zone, which isn't good, obviously.
No, it's not good. And that's when you sort of go back to that Josh Allen critique and the criticism of him before he came into the league. As talented as this guy is, because he's got a howitzer for an arm, right? Like he can put the ball, throw it 100 yards, and he's got wheels, and he's big. But he was wildly inaccurate in college. Brian Daboll, to his credit, the coach of the Giants, who I want to talk about here in a second, did a lot with getting Josh Allen under control. And you kind of wonder if Brian Daboll might not have been one of the reasons that Josh Allen was so good, because now Daniel Jones looks like he's not the worst quarterback in the league, which to me, he surely did last year. So I just wonder in certain cases if Josh Allen doesn't revert back to what he was before, being a bit of a risk taker, because when the going gets tough, you go back to your instincts, right? And that's kind of what his instincts have told him to do. Now, the Giants, I want to talk about this game too, because the way that I want to play the games this week is like this. I'm going to use 3 games in a 3-team 6-point teaser. Okay. The first one is Detroit plus 9.5. I'm going to tease that up to plus 15.5. So we're going to use a 6-point teaser and give them 15.5 points to work with. The second game that I'm going to tie together here, Chad, is that Giants team coached by Brian Daboll, who I think is just doing an incredible job. I'm so surprised with where they're at. They are 9.5-point dogs at Dallas. To me, the book is way overreacting to Dallas's 40-3 win against the Vikings. This number is way too high. But I want to take that Giants team and also plus up that point spread to 15.5 there. So we're going to take Detroit plus 15.5, the Giants plus 15.5. And then I know this game isn't just a Thanksgiving game, but there's another game I'm looking at and just seeing an area of opportunity. It's Denver, Carolina on Sunday. The Broncos are 2.5-point favorites in Carolina. Denver might be the worst run offense in the league. And that trade for Russell Wilson looks more and more like Herschel Walker 2.0. Carolina plus 2.5. I'm going to add 6 points onto that, Chad, and take the Panthers plus 8.5, the Lions plus 15.5, and the Giants plus 15.5. It's always a risk when you take a 3-team anything, parlay, teaser, no matter how many points you're getting. But this just looks to me like an area of opportunity, and that's what I'm going to do this upcoming weekend. So 2 games on Thanksgiving and 1 on Sunday. So you can check that out later. My daily play will have that broken down.
Check this out for Matt. Check this. We got extra stuff here. Not only giving away Bucks tickets, giving $200 cash and a 6-pack of something I can't pronounce.
Yuling.
Okay.
Okay, you're right. I can't pronounce that either.
I don't know what that is. It sounds cool. A shirt and what does that say? $50 gas card.
Gift card and a $25 gift. Yeah, gas card. That would be fun because we're doing a gas station promotion.
Well, I don't know.
It's a restaurant, so a gas card is what makes sense.
Well, I'm just saying because gas is expensive. Maybe he got some gas cards. I'm just thinking.
Okay. Well, listen, Matt.
That's
I'm glad that you finally got me these details because I've been like, Matt, tell me what it is we're giving away, and he's like, all right, Hoss, I'll get it to you. And then Hoss keeps waiting. So Matt, thank you for this. Also, Matt got a little bit nervous when Foreman was making his proclamations earlier, and I was glad that we dropped that thing.
Oh, I apologize. Really I didn't know that it was offensive.
Please, it wasn't. And Foreman wanted to defend himself. When we said that he spelled Randy's name wrong because Randy with a Y is a guy's name, he said he did not spell it wrong.
Okay.
So I was incorrect on who it was that P12 Foreman actually wanted to have said butthole bread from, right? Like that was my mistake.
Okay.
He was right. I was wrong, which is fair. We have to make sure that we put this back out here.
Yeah. So, fake news. I got you.
It's fake news, sad. I mean, not just fake news, sad. Foreman now saying we just took it wrong. I don't think so. And Foreman takes so many things. I don't know how he can really determine when he's taken something wrong or when anybody takes something wrong. Foreman's consumption of substances, I mean, they span the spectrum in so many different ways.
Good for him.
I think
you never know if he's lucid or not. I got you. Okay.
Well, we've begun to give Foreman a new nickname. It's called the Rumor because rumor has it Foreman was going to show up today, but then he is either never there or in his truck. This was great. Last Friday, we were having breakfast watching West Salem football over at the Nutbush, and Foreman gets a huge breakfast, pancakes and eggs and bacon. That must have sat there for 1 hour and 15 minutes. The food never got touched. People coming over, flies, salmonella, E. coli, Breacher was there, John was there, Neil Duda was there. We're just looking at this incredible plate of food, more than any one person could probably consume at any one time anyways, that just sat there. And where was Foreman? Rumor has it he was in his truck. We don't know. We just don't know.
How did that get resolved? Did somebody eat the food?
Well, he ate part of it and then he played with it. He poked holes in the pancakes and wore it as a mask. And of course, we put up the picture on Facebook, which got a lot of likes. And very
good thing I wasn't there because you can trust the fat guy with your girlfriend. Don't trust him with your food.
Dude, I ate some of his bacon.
I would have ate it. I would have been like, dude, it's been 5 minutes. I don't even give you 10 minutes. It's like, where's this guy at? I'm eating this.
Well,
pancakes, there's pancakes on that. I'm eating that.
Dude, and the butter. It was the good soft cream butter too, right? Man. Like, I mean, that's the kind of butter that when you fuck that butter up, man, like I think an angel loses its wings or something like that. When you actually fuck that butter up. When Jimmy Namath got there, I mean, it hung as I have ever seen somebody hung, walking into that place like, whose breakfast is this? And we're like, it's Foreman's. It took, I think, all of Jimmy's strength and fortitude to not just actually lay on top of that breakfast right there and absorb it. Chad, I'm telling you what, we've talked about.
You got to soak up the alcohol with the pancakes. Yeah.
My God, he needed it like by osmosis, right? Like it just, if he could have bathed in the butter and also the pancake itself, wrapped himself in its pillowy quiltiness, he would have. This is where I think we go back to that whole Alaska beats Wisconsin in drinking. I've never been to Alaska, but I say hold our fucking beer. I mean, like literally hold our fucking beer, because there's not as many people out there and the culture can be a little disparate, right? So you've got Anchorage and you've got Juneau and you've got a couple of places. Well, there can't be a coordinated drinking effort, Chad. There's not a tavern league like there is out here, which gives you safe rides home.
I would say the difference would be, and I've never been to Alaska or Wisconsin. I think it sounds more like celebrated drinking with friends and depressed drinking by yourself in a cabin.
That's Alaska. Okay.
That's Alaska. Yeah.
That's fair. That is fair. I'll give you that. I can also see that. Now, that doesn't always sound all that bad, though.
Well, it depends.
Drinking by yourself in a cabin can actually be quite romantic and attractive if you're in the right state of mind. If you know thyself, that can actually be an attractive thing.
What if there's 18 hours of daylight or 18 hours of darkness? That can lend to the drinking and the depression. That's from my understanding of people that have lived in Alaska.
Yes, and that's when we call Jeremy P12 Foreman the rumor, because when we need to be able to figure out those long days, he's one of those guys that you go talk to. He'll help you get around that situation. He's a military man. You know, he's always useful. The rumor has it he's always useful. So, Chad,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what was your vote again on the poll question? You went for...
I said all of the above.
All of the above? Okay,
yeah.
Just to let you know, we've got a poll question this morning at the Sports Carney on Twitter. Our Facebook group page as well has got the poll question up. What is your favorite part of Thanksgiving? The dinner, the family, the football, all of the above, and not surprising, 82.4% of respondents say it's all of the above. 11.8% for straight up Thanksgiving dinner, and 5.9% say just the football. Family in and of itself gets 0% of the votes, because it really is that all of the above feel, right? You get mini horses, you get, a whole bunch of high calorie chips and dip, and then you get to have that food, and it's just, it's so good.
So Foreman's defending himself, says technically I was at work, so I had to answer work calls. Sure you were. Sure.
Oh, yeah. Right.
We buy that.
Foreman has a job.
Which game are you looking forward to the most? This is my own little, this is Chad's poll.
I like
it. You
like
Buffalo at Detroit? You like New York at Dallas? Or do you like the game I'm looking forward to the most, New England at Minnesota?
Really?
I think that's going to be a good game. Yeah.
Well, I think
it's a bounce back from the Vikings.
I think that if you're going to look at this game in any way, it's going to be to the under, because look at what happened last week. I mean, the Patriots win in overtime 10-3 on a kickoff return or a punt return or something. Minnesota put up 3 points against the Dallas Cowboys, who have a good but not historically great defense. We saw that against the Packers. I'm looking at an under 42.5. I think that's going to be a slugfest. The game, to answer your question, that I'm looking forward to the most is the kickoff of everything at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's going to be 11:30 a.m. here in the Central time zone. Is Detroit and Buffalo. I think that game to me is the most interesting, because I don't know where Buffalo is right now. I really don't. That win last week that they had against Cleveland, that didn't do anything to solve concerns. Josh Allen is my fantasy quarterback, really let me down. Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, I had on the bench, which was, whatever. That is what it is. I'm sliding out of that, first, second place in that league. But I want to see what Detroit can do here as a 9.5-point dog. And like I talked about, I'm going to use that game as a part of a 3-team 6-point teaser. I want to see how they can perform, because Detroit surprised me this year. I mean, and they've really actually over the last couple of years been not far off of winning. It took a Justin Tucker 66-yard NFL record field goal for the Ravens to beat them last year. I mean, Dan Campbell's team fights for him. So I want to see what this looks like against Buffalo. I'm juiced for that one.
I tell you what, I got confused during my fantasy league. Instead of Jimmy Garoppolo, I drafted Janine Garofalo. And, I've been disappointed ever since.
But yeah, she can't sling it anymore, dude.
Yeah, she cannot.
Once she had that hip replacement, it was all downhill from there. Hey, boys and girls, this has been a lot of fun. Happy Thanksgiving. Chad and I will see you bright and early, 8 o'clock Friday morning. Who knows? Maybe we'll give you some overtime on Friday, too. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.